Hi guys, my name is Finn, and today I'm going to guide you to how to kick a soccer ball. Okay, so in this video I'll be teaching you how to kick a soccer ball. Plus there is a booklet provided which will contain all the information I'll be talking about in this video. So make sure you check that out too, at the end of the video. All you guys will be able to understand the basics of how to kick a ball, or at least have some sort of idea about it. So the materials that you will need to be able to practice is pretty much just a soccer ball. If you don't have a soccer ball, then you can use any sort of ball, just not too bouncy. Make sure it's like kind of round, not like a rugby ball or anything. Something like similar to a soccer ball. You need to go out in an open space. It doesn't have to be a big oval or anything. Just somewhere where you can just pass the ball around. It's better to have a friend with you so you can consecutively pass the ball. But if you don't have people that you can pass with and you just want to practice on your own, you can also go to a wall and just kick it with yourself. So there are 3 stages while learning a skill and skill acquisition. The first stage I'm going to be talking about is the cognitive stage, which is for beginners. The first stage of learning is categorized by thinking processes of the learner about the skill. Here the learner has an early identification and understanding of the skill. The task is known and a cognitive picture of skill is formed, focusing on the skill we are trying to achieve. To kick a soccer ball perfectly or well, the learner will have to know all the information and knowledge required to kick the ball. Now there's 5 steps to kick the ball for starting off for a learner. So first you want to look at the ball and see where it is. Then you want to put your non-dominant foot, so the foot you won't be kicking with, next to the ball. You want to bring your kicking leg back, lock your ankle so there's at least some power in it, and then follow through once you hit the ball. As the learner is aware of what has to be done, they will need to be thinking about their body position and what the movement will look like. The brain will think about all the steps and what they have to do in each section of skill execution. As this is the first experience for the learner, the skill is divided into 5 simple instructions that I said to perform the skill. I'll have a video demonstrating that later. It's expected that the learner will not be able to accomplish the skill in their first go, but that's absolutely common with everyone. Plus, the skill being quite tricky itself, several errors and mistakes are natural and obvious for a learner. There will be times when learners won't quite understand some sections of the skill, and some might get it straight away, but some don't. For example, while bringing your kicking leg behind you, some learners might find it awkward to bring their corresponding arms back. If this happens to be the scenario, then the learner should just focus on bringing the leg back. Have a lot of practice with just the legs and maybe reintroduce your arms again after you start getting the hang of it. If the learner encounters any sort of difficulty or discomfort, the skill should be broken into smaller movements. However, if the learner is rapidly progressing, then we can add another section which help the individual in the long run. For example, instead of standing in one spot and just kicking the ball, going through all the steps and stuff, we can add another section by running or walking up to the ball and then striking it. This stage is all about gathering the basic steps and ideas for kicking a ball. Any sort of success is a very good sign in this stage, and a learner is motivated to focus on the positive side more, but also to not forget about the technique. So whilst trying to kick the ball, even touching the ball is an achievement for a beginner in this cognitive stage. In this stage, constructive and positive feedbacks are provided. Attitudes are kept high so that it's easy to understand and pass this stage. There has to be a lot of self-talk and a lot of practice put into this stage. I'll play a few videos now explaining this cognitive stage, for examples. So now we move on to the second stage, the associative stage. This is the second stage of skill acquisition, which is also known as the motor phase or practice stage. A phase where the learner is in process of improving the skill and has captured all the fundamentals of the skill through practice. By this stage, the learner has begun to grasp an idea of what the skill is and has absorbed the nature of the skill. This level is more work on the synchronization of the muscles and the mind with the intention of performing better. In this certain skill, kicking, the learner is able to perform a kick following all the points listed in the instructions that I listed before, with fewer errors and better judgments. Motor programs start forming as they become more consistent. While kicking the ball, the player will establish the proper feel for the ball, with the kicking leg increasing the strength in the kick and being able to work out the timing a lot better. At this stage, learners would be able to get a sense of internal kinesthetic feedback when they kick the ball. But still, the kicking might not be so professional and smooth. The learner processes the skill and is able to kick the ball even in an uncomfortable situation. According to the instruction, it says that the non-kicking foot needs to be ahead of the kicking foot, but because the leaner is in this stage here, even the foots are placed wrong. Open skills of timing and right judgments will come into play. The skill is practiced randomly without rushed movements and overthinking. Now, if we look back at the stage where the learner had to break down the section, which was the cognitive stage, to simplify, not being able to move your corresponding arm along with the legs. By this point, they are able to handle more complexity adjustments, adjusting the technique. They might also be able to kick a moving ball than a stationary one like before. Again, not everyone passes through this stage easy. Despite having a reasonably automatic kick, it still might not be the best quality kick, whereas some might go through this stage pretty quickly. In the associative stage, not everyone gets through it, so if you don't worry. I'm going to show you an example now on what the associative stage looks like. Now we move on to the last stage, the autonomous stage. This is the most advanced level of skill acquisition, as the performance of movement is now properly sequenced and executed insensitively. One knows that he or she is at this stage when there is a consistent achievement of desired results. In this case, it'd be having consistent and perfect kicks with the fluent and smooth movements. The kicks will be much more efficient as the player is now controlling the power, body strength, and also timing. The most beneficial part of being at this stage is having that spare time. By this stage, your mind is automatically looking at the ball, swinging your legs back and following through. As the player doesn't have to think about these movements, they can already focus on other things such as bringing some spin to the ball, watching your friend, opponent and their moves, planning their next move, etc. They will also be able to deal with environmental interferences, such as if there were to be an animal appearing out of nowhere as they're in the momentum of kicking, they can control the pressure or even stop it because of the spare time they've got. In order to be at the top of this stage, a learner would need different characteristics such as kinesthetic sense, steadiness in their performance, open skills, sound technique, etc. According to the level of performance, best planned practice sessions are put forward with 100% effort involved. There are more diverse instructions and training conditions. Continuous feedbacks are given and the players are encouraged to have a positive mind. Now, in the autonomous stage, not a lot of people get to this stage, but a few do. And they say To master a skill such as kicking a ball, you have to put in 10,000 hours, and that's a lot of hours. Now, with the autonomous stage, it's mainly after you've played for a long time. Like in the game, you don't really think about doing the moves and stuff like that. You don't think about passing it. You don't think about putting your foot next to it. You don't go through the processes. Now I'm going to show you an example of what an autonomous stage would look like in a game situation.
Yeah,